Hello. We've been a little bit behind, I guess, on the Tripura Rahasya. So let's pick up where we left off. We're on chapter 15. And just as a reminder of the Tripura Rahasya, as you may remember, I want to read a few sentences out of the introduction by Swami Rama to put this in context. A great yogi does not belong to any caste, creed, sex, or ethnic group because he has already transcended all such superficial limitations. The knowledge that enlightens such an aspirant is called Tripura Rahasya. The text by that name is one of the most significant scriptures in the tradition of Tantra Yoga. So, that's what it's about. And you may recall that the story of Tripura Rahasya, the teacher is Dattatreya and the student is Parashurama. Hi, Joe. And Dattatreya has told several really fascinating stories to Parashurama. And this chapter here is the awareness of consciousness and the lesson given to Ashtavakra. Okay, and it picks up with Parashurama. Parashurama was astonished by this thought-provoking story about the rocky mountain in which they went into the mountain, short version. With a purified mind, he went to Dattatreya and prostrated in front of him. "O Lord, you imparted magnificent teachings through a story, and I began contemplating upon them. I understand that pure knowledge alone is truth, and that the objects of the world are as unreal as the images reflected in a mirror. O great Mother Maheshwari, tell me if consciousness itself manifests this phenomenal world from its unmanifest state of deep sleep to the dreaming and waking states. Pure consciousness is direct knowledge. This manifestation of the universe is without any other cause, but springs spontaneously from the self-existent reality. This I understand, having listened with a purified mind." He was paying attention this time. "Consciousness cannot be comprehended through intellectual knowledge, because it is pure and unblemished by the mind and its modifications. I am bewildered and want to know how realization is attained, without which the goal is not attained. What is the nature of liberation? If liberation is attained in this lifetime, excuse me, if liberation is attained in this lifetime, does the lifestyle of the liberated one change for the good? How does one behave if he is liberated? The enlightened ones sometimes seem to be engaged in external activities. In such cases, how do they relate to the external world? How do they relate the external world to pure consciousness? If they have attained the highest consciousness, how can they function in the external world? In this diversity, how can I find unity and see that liberation is possible in the midst of external activities?" Pretty good question, isn't it? Why do we notice apparent differences in the enlightened sages? A few seem to be active, a few are teaching the scriptures, a few worship the deities in different manners, a fortunate few remain in samadhi. Others observe austerities while mortifying their bodies and senses. A few teach their students clearly and sincerely. Some of the enlightened ones rule the country with full justice. Some of them remain engaged in thrashing out philosophical differences. A few of them are busy writing scriptures. Some of them pretend to be abnormal in their behavior. But these individuals of different categories gain fame like the wise do. There's a note here. It is difficult for a layman to discriminate. Perfect meets perfect. For meeting perfect, one must be perfect. How can there be a difference in their behavior if they really are liberated? Are there different states and grades of liberation? Kindly resolve these conflicts, because I have immense respect for you and a burning desire to know the truth. Dattatreya was pleased and answered all the questions of his favorite disciple in the following manner. Parashurama, you are the best among the wise. You must have had a glimpse of reality. You are endowed with good thoughts, and thus you deserve to know the truth. When the mind starts treading the path of truth, then one deserves the profound grace of Mother Divine. Without her loving grace, who can attain final liberation? The purpose is accomplished when the sadhaka's mind becomes joyous, and he constantly contemplates and thus strengthens his creativity. So far, you have rightly understood the nature of consciousness. Knowledge without profound experience is not considered to be true knowledge. Therefore, do not have any doubt. The profound experience of self is constant awareness of I am, and for such a knower, the illusions of the world disappear. Indirect knowledge is like a dream. As access to the treasure house of wealth in a dream is a fantasy, so indirect knowledge is like a dream. Let me explain through a beautiful story. Once upon a time in the kingdom of Videha there was a wise king named Janaka. King Janaka is always quoted as a singular example, a knower of the universe and beyond. Once he performed a ceremony for attaining final liberation. Many Brahmins and learned ascetics, hermits, and intellectuals well versed in the Vedas participated in the ceremony. During the same time, Varuna, the presiding deity of water, wished to perform a similar ceremony, but the prominent sages and scholars did not participate in that ceremony. All the great ones from different walks of life were pleased to receive Janaka's hospitality. In revenge, Varuna's son persecuted many learned Brahmins. He even disguised himself as a Brahmin and entered the royal house to bless the king and address the assembly, saying, "O king, this assembly is not suitable for this occasion. It is like a beautiful lake full of lotuses being used by crows, jackdaws, and herons. These incompetent people are useless. I don't find anyone who is wise like a swan and can discriminate between truth and ignorance. As a swan separates milk from water, I do not want to participate in an assembly of idiots." Pretty strong language. Listening to these insulting words, the entire assembly of learned people became angry. "You charlatan, what right have you to insult this assembly of wise people? What ability do you have that makes you believe you can defeat us in debate? Idiot! Why are you speaking thus? You will have to debate with us before you leave this assembly. Most of the educated people of the world are gathered here. You fool! Do you think you have the ability to debate with all of us? Tell us what exquisite knowledge you have that will defeat us all in debate." To this challenge, the son of Varuna responded, "I can conquer you all in a moment, but on one condition. If you defeat me, throw me in the ocean. If I win, I will drown whomever I defeat. First, accept this wager, and then we will start debating." All the Brahmins accepted the challenge. They debated with Varuna's son. With his fallacious logic, he defeated all of the learned people and threw them into the ocean. Varuna's soldiers picked up the drowning people and took them to his ceremonial dais, where they were received with great reverence. Those Brahmins who were drowning and then rescued were pleased by Varuna's hospitality. However, Astavakra, the son of Kohola, well versed in the art of irrational reasoning, heard of his father being thrown in the ocean. He hurried to the court and vanquished the son of Varuna, then ordered him to drown himself. The son of Varuna revealed his identity and restored the lost Brahmins from his father's court. After the Brahmins had been returned, Astavakra became egotistical and boasted of his greatness. Thus, insulted by Astavakra, the Brahmins were offended. Immediately, a woman sage arrived in saffron garb, wearing long hair like the hermits. Due to her yogic accomplishment, she looked perennially young and was attractive. She greeted the Brahmins who had taken refuge in her, and after receiving due honor from the king, she consoled them and said, "O son of Kohola, indeed you are very learned. You released the Brahmins by conquering Varuna's son in debate. But let me ask you some questions. Answer honestly. What is that state which assures immortality? If it is known, all doubts vanish. Nothing remains unknown. Nothing remains desired, and even the unknowable becomes known. If you know it, tell me." At this question, the son of Kohola replied, "I know that state. Listen, I will tell you. There is nothing in the world I do not know, so your question is no problem for me. I have studied all the branches of knowledge in depth. Whatever you ask, I shall answer correctly. Just listen. That truth which you asked about is actually the cause of the universe. It has no beginning, middle, or end. It is not limited by time and space. It is pure, indivisible, and eternal. On the basis of that reality, this whole universe appears to exist. That truth is like a mirror which supports the image of the city which reflects in it. After knowing the mirror, no doubt remains about the images reflecting in it. Similarly, after knowing that state of reality, a sadhaka attains immortality. If one has realized the real self, nothing remains unknown. After knowing the absolute, a person desires nothing. According to the scriptures, the learned sages have come to the final conclusion about the nature of the absolute reality. When he concluded, she said, "O son of a sage, your answer is both beautiful and logical. But you said no one knows that self-existent reality. Therefore, it cannot be known. At the same time, you said that only after knowing it, a sadhaka gains immortality. Is this not a contradictory statement? If it cannot be known, then you must admit that you do not know it. Then do not say that truth does not exist. But if it exists and you know it, then you cannot claim it cannot be known. Moreover, Brahman, you are making these claims on the basis of scriptural knowledge. You do not know it directly. It is not direct knowledge. If you know about the nature of the universe and do not know the nature of the real self, what good is that knowledge? Do you not consider yourself defeated when you make such a self-contradictory statement in the court of King Janaka? At these words, Ashtavakra became mum. He was disappointed and ashamed. Looking down, he remained silent. After seriously considering her arguments, he conceded, "O great lady sage, I do not know the answer. I have become your disciple. Please tell me why there seem to be contradictions in the scriptures. I do not speak untruth, for it disturbs my austerities." That great lady was pleased to hear that Ashtavakra did not speak untruth. In front of the entire court, she told him, "Blessed son, for lack of knowing the depth of this knowledge, sadhakas become victims of the evil called attachment. This is not the subject matter for mere debate. The secret teaching is not fully explained by the Shastras. In this entire assembly of the learned, no one has profound knowledge of the truth. It is known to the king and me exclusively. In debates, no one raises such questions. Learned people, with the help of logic, have this knowledge in fragments. Mere debate will not reveal it. One must be in the service of a great adept and blessed by the self. O son of a saint, be attentive. If the mind has not attained the state of tranquility and one-pointedness, there will be no gain. Unless this profound science is fully assimilated by your inner being, your listening to the scriptures even 1,000 times will be of no use. If someone forgets he is wearing a necklace and presumes it has been stolen, then he suffers. Even if someone tells him he is wearing it, if he does not see it, then no matter how intense his desire to find it, he will not find it. Likewise, O son of a learned one, even after listening one-pointedly to a description of Atman and his nature, if one does not turn his mind inward, how can he expect to realize Atman within? A lamp might shed its light all around itself, but it cannot illuminate the space beneath. The sun does not depend on illumination from any other object, because the sun is self-illumined. By judging the darkness under the lamp, you cannot doubt the existence of the light. If it is true with lamps, then what about that which can never be illumined by anything else? Someone may claim that absolute reality is ever illumined and at the same time beyond comprehension. Think about this carefully. Tripura is this supreme consciousness, the source of all. Her self-existent illumination illumines all. If illumination is not her nature, then who has the power of illumination? With profound introspection, even the most learned scholars cannot comprehend this deepest knowledge. That is why throughout life they remain in the darkness of ignorance. Without turning their minds inward, even great learned men cannot fathom this mystery. That is why they remain caught in the cycle of birth and death. Unless the mind is brought to a state of stillness, it is not possible to attain introspection. And unless the introspection is fully developed, self-realization is not possible. The mind should first attain desirelessness, then it can penetrate into deeper levels. Renounce all desires and strengthen only the one desire that helps in self-surrender. Gain freedom. When you remember that state, then you will know that absolute reality is beyond, yet can be attained. After knowing that absolute reality, you will attain the highest state of consciousness. Now I have explained all the secrets, O son of a sage. I bid goodbye to you. Let me go now. By listening only once to the secret of this knowledge, you cannot know the truth. King Janaka, the wisest of the wise, will impart this knowledge to you. You can ask to improve your doubts, and the king will dispel your ignorance. Thus she spoke and rose from her seat. The king worshipped her, and the assembly bowed to her with great reverence. She vanished suddenly, like a wind disperses the clouds. Dattatreya said, remember this was all a story, Dattatreya said, O Parashurama, I have already given you the method of realizing the self. Thus ends chapter 15 with the dialogue of Ashtavakra on jhana. Next will come the dialogue between King Janaka and sage Ashtavakra. Pretty exciting stuff, isn't it? To be continued. One more time, to be continued. Okay? Thanks for visiting. Hope you're enjoying Tripura Rahasya. Pretty good stuff, isn't it? Have a nice meditation next time. Look for Tripura. Rahasya is the secret of Tripura, the one that dwells in the three cities, which can be found in the silence after the Om, which is called Sat. Therefore, Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat. Bye-bye. Thanks for playing.